Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton. Today I'm going to show you how to can homemade bread and butter pickles. I just love this photo here. My new camera takes really good pictures and I love this picture. These pickles look really pretty. I will show you how to make these pretty bread and butter pickles, and they taste as good as they look too. In this class I'll show you how to make and can bread and butter pickles. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and canning supply list you can download and print out for future reference. You'll also gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. You need 10 cups of sliced pickling cucumbers. Pickling cucumbers are not the same thing as regular cucumbers. You don't want to use regular cucumbers for pickles. They do not taste the same and they are not as crunchy as pickling cucumbers. Pickling cucumbers are small and crunchier, so make sure you have the right kind of cucumbers. You also need 4 medium onions, thinly sliced, half a cup of pickling salt. This is not regular salt. There's a special pickling and canning salt. It is very inexpensive and it's next to the regular salt at the grocery store, so make sure you have pickling salt. You need 3 cups of white vinegar, 2 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of mustard seeds, 1 teaspoon of celery seeds, and 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric. You'll need a boiling water canner, a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel, and pint-sized canning jars. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. If you don't already have one, you're going to need to get one. You can get them at Walmart or online at Amazon. There's a link to it in the supply list in your course materials. They're between $20 and $30. I think they're normally $30, but you can get them on sale sometimes. This is what the canning rack looks like. It comes inside your boiling water canner, but if you want to use your own stock pot for canning, you can, as long as you have a rack like this to put in the bottom of it. These are about $10. You can buy them separately from the boiling water canner. You can order these from Amazon also. There's a link to this on your supply list. Also, if you're using your own stock pot, you need to make sure it's tall enough that you can have an inch of water above the jars. And as long as you have a rack like this in the bottom, then you can use your own pot. You need a jar lifter to take your jars in and out of your pan. A wide mouth funnel to put your food in your jars. You're going to fill your canner about 3/4 full with water. You don't need to heat it quite yet because you have to do some other things first, but you can at least get the canner ready. You want to sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. I do mine in the dishwasher because the only other way to do it is by putting it in boiling water on the stove, and that takes up a lot of room on your stove. So it's easier to do it in the dishwasher and just leave them in there till you're ready to use them. Your rings and lids, your rings and jars you can reuse, but the lids you need to replace every time. They're very inexpensive. You always make sure to have plenty on hand so that you don't run out in the middle of a canning project. This is what the pickling cucumbers look like. They're smaller than regular cucumbers. You want to rinse and slice them in thin slices. Place the sliced cucumbers, onions, and salt in a glass or stainless steel bowl. You want to add cold water to it. I added a couple ice cubes to it to be extra cold, and I covered it with plastic wrap and let it sit for 2 hours. Next, you want to rinse the cucumbers. You want to rinse all the salt off of them, and the onions. There should be onions in there too. Place the vinegar, sugar, mustard seeds, celery seeds, and turmeric in a large saucepan. Simmer until the sugar dissolves. Then you want to add the cucumbers and onions and return it to a boil. And that's all you need to do for this recipe. You want to ladle your cucumber mixture into your sterilized jars, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of the cucumbers and the top of the jar. You don't need very much headspace for this recipe because your food won't expand very much, but food does expand when it's being heated in the boiling water canner, so you need to make sure you have plenty of room so that your jars don't break. For this recipe, it's only a 1/4 inch. Next, you want to wipe the rims of the jars with a damp paper towel or dish towel and place the rings and lids on the jars finger tight. Process your jars in a boiling water canner for 10 minutes. Make sure you have an inch of water above your jars. The water doesn't have to be boiling when you put the jars in the water, but don't set the timer until the water is boiling. If you live above 1,000 feet in elevation, you need to process them for more than 10 minutes. There's an altitude adjustment chart in the course materials, or you can find one free online really easily. But if you're below 1,000 feet, then you just need to do it for 10 minutes. Use a jar lifter or tongs to remove your jars from the canner. Set your jars on a towel on the kitchen counter to cool. Let the jars sit until they're cool. When the jars seal, you'll hear a pinging noise. Most of your jars will probably seal in the canner, but sometimes it can take a while for them to seal. You can tell if the jar is sealed or not by pressing your finger down in the middle of the lid. If the lid goes down and up again, then it is not sealed, but if it is flat, then it is sealed. Your sealed jars you can store in a dark, cool area for 1 to 2 years. If you have any jars that did not seal, there's a couple things you can do. If you want to try to can it so that the jar does seal, all you need to do is replace the lid with a new lid and put the ring back on it, and then you can process it again for the same amount of time, and it should seal the second time. Either you had a bad lid, or sometimes if you have any food on the top of your jar that you didn't get wiped off, that can keep your lid from sealing. And also feel to make sure there's no nicks in your jars. If there's a nick in the top of your jar, then you need to not use that jar again. That will keep your jar from sealing. But if it was just the lid, or you had some debris of food on there that didn't get wiped off, if you do it again with a new lid, then you can still store it if it seals the second time. Or your other option is to put the unsealed jars in the refrigerator and eat them. They will last for several months. Pickles last for a long time because of the vinegar. So you can put them in the refrigerator also and eat them, and they will be safe to eat. So that's it. Pickles are really easy to make. Pickling cucumbers are fun to grow. I try to grow some in my garden every year. There's different kinds of pickles you can make, but these are the sweet pickles, and they're really good. You can eat them right out of the jar. So give them a try and see what you think.